you know, you commune with the muse, your muse, and you know, something happens. Because I've written some things and gone, wow, that's pretty good. You know, and a lot of the time I'm going, wow, that's pretty shitty. But sometimes things happen, and that's what's the exciting part about it. And that's what I love about writing. And I felt that in this book too. I'd really get going, and I'd kind of get in a flurry of writing, and I'd finish it. I'd look at it and go, yeah, wow, where'd that come from? But I've said something that I didn't know I felt. But once I see it on paper, I'll go, yeah, that's what I feel.
Right.
Which is a great feeling. I mean, it really is. That's what draws me to writing.
You mentioned that, you know, sometimes they'll be good and sometimes they won't be. Do you have a good feeling for which ones are going to be the good ones?
No, not at all. I didn't think Jesse's Girl was a hit, actually. I thought it was just a good album cut.
Right.
And I was kind of disappointed when Keith Olsen picked it to produce it. He was going to produce 2 songs for my first album. He was a very famous producer in the 80s. Did Rumors, Fleetwood Mac, and Pat Benatar's a couple of her albums, and Foreigner. You know, he was a very sought-after producer. And I was disappointed that he picked Jesse's Girl because I thought there were better songs on the album that I'd written.
Right.
But unfortunately, he proved me wrong. So I'm okay with that. But yeah, I mean, I'll write a song going, yeah, I really like that. And people will come up and say they like that song, but it won't necessarily be a single. And that's but honestly, I don't know what a single is anymore, truly. It's probably the song they download the most on iTunes.
Probably. With a song like Jesse's Girl, that became so big and continues to be, you know, one of the main songs that people connect with you. Is that always a good thing, or is that something? Do you ever get tired of playing it?
No, because it's all about the connection with people. You know, live shows, and they react so monstrously when you launch into the opening, you know, riff. But it's gone on to have a life of its own, and that's the kind of song a writer hopes to write. Some guys, you know, like Paulie and John, write thousands of them, but just to have written one that's kind of gone on and become this thing other than just a successful song, I mean, I'm very proud of that.
Right.
For sure, it overshadows other stuff. Like every TV interview I did for this book, the opening line was me playing Jesse's Girl. Right. Thankfully, some of it was the live one, but most of it was that horrible video. What was I thinking?
You wanted to smash some mirrors, or?
Yeah, that's explained in the book, and I finally, that's one thing I came up with, realized when I was writing the book of why, because I storyboarded that whole thing, for better or for worse, and that part, when I said, I'm looking in the mirror all the time, I pictured a bathroom mirror, because that's where I would always, you know, that's where I first met Mr. D, was in the bathroom mirror when I was 14 years old.
Right.
And it was wasn't very kind to me very often. I always kind of came off second best when I'd look at myself in the mirror. And especially as a kid. And so that's what the break in the mirrors was all about. And I realized that in writing the book. It was one of those things that you know, comes up and you go, wow, that's amazing. But I had no idea at that point. It was just something I put in there, you know, drew in there for the video, just because I thought, well, that's where the mirror is.
Right.
I didn't see some long mirror in the living room, you know. All this little square staring back at me, sneering at me.
Right. Well, that song obviously became the huge hit, you know, even though you weren't expecting it. Is there an example of a song that you feel is, that you've written that you feel is really underappreciated? That you know you think this song really means so much to me. I wish that more people would play this clip when they do an interview on me, or you know that this one would have gotten a better breakthrough, I guess, to people.
No, I mean the hits, you know, the ones that were the hits were. I'm very, you know, fortunate and happy that they were hits. And even a song wasn't a hit, like My Father's Chair, which is one of the kind of the better songs I've written. I've had a lot of feedback from that because it was a song about the death of my dad, and it was, you know, as people go through it, they say it's helped them through it or helped them grieve, and it's, you know, like I said, it's been on carved on headstones, and quoted in eulogies, and so I'm very proud of that. No, I think there's, I think the newer songs, the song I still haven't written is the one, that's the one you want people to hear. And I think, the last record got a pretty good airing, and there's a lot of fans like a lot of the songs on it. But, you don't write a Jesse's Girl every time, I guess.
Let me ask you a little bit about acting. Because obviously General Hospital was big, even though it kind of sounds like it was maybe there were some problems, related to that coming at the same time as the Working Class Dog album. But more recently, Californication kind of got you involved. It was. I think that was a very well received role.
Yeah. All right.
What was it like playing that part? That must have felt somewhat, close to real life. Was it difficult, or
the thing was that it wasn't close to real life. That's why it was fun playing.
Okay.
Because I was, actually someone said I had to defend it the other day because this guy came up and said, I didn't know Rick Springfield did that blow. I didn't know he was being. I said, dude, it's acting. If I did coke, would I say, yeah, guys, write in that I do coke because I can really do that well because I'm really good. I said, write what you want to write. I'm game for anything. And I've never done coke. I mean, maybe twice in my life, but and I've never been a mean sexual partner. And certainly in this, he's a pretty deviant fucker. That's fun to play. It's like, these women that always say it's great to play a bitch. It's great to play someone that is different from you. And although they wanted to use my name and references to my history, just because I think that's kind of a spin-off of the reality shows. They're trying to get a bit of reality in there, but still be able to write, great dialogue in that. So it wasn't really close. I was concerned at first that I'm playing Rick Springfield. I think I'm not acting. But once I saw the dialogue, it was such a great part. I said, God, I got to do this.
What was it like? How was it explained to you? Did David Duchovny meet you and say, this is what you're going to do?
No. It's the writers. They send you the script, And actually, they said the scene I read to get the part, because you audition for the part, it wasn't written for me. It was just called Idol. They were looking for someone with a history that they could, and I got the part, but originally it was very, very raunchy. And then when they sent me the first script, when I got it, I called them up. I said, you guys aren't backing down because you think I'm afraid to play something, are you? And they said, that's exactly what we want to hear. So I said, go for it. I'm not here to play me. I want to go as far as you want to push it, and they did.
They actually cut a line out of it that I won't repeat, but no.
Yeah, come on.
Even David Duchovny went,
It was pretty awful.
Getting back onto a show like that, or having a part like that again, has that prompted more roles? Are you looking to do more acting?
Yeah, very much so. And the writing's so great in TV now. When I first started in the 70s, it was pretty horrible. I mean, honestly, Matlock. Now, we have Matlock fans. No, I mean, it was down home writing, and now they're really edgy, and there's really some great writers, and I really want to work in that medium with those writers, and I'm writing stuff myself too, and I love some of the shows are incredible, because a lot of because of the general squeeze, I think there's a lot more great writers that come to TV, and there's a lot of there's no restriction, certainly on shows like cable, where you can write it like you write a movie.
I'm going to ask you one more thing, and then I think it's about time to turn it over to questions.
Okay.
But the last thing,
could I have said, say Rick Springfield's fucking me on General Hospital? Could I have gotten away with that?
Probably not.
I don't think so.